Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rolldown, the TFT Esports podcast, where we talk about everything from the grassroots to the pro scene, from the couch to the crown. My name is Sia Lee, your host for the show, joined as always by Gangly, who is, are you a Riftbound World Champion or a TFT World Champion this set?
I mean, it's a good question. I would say, come Hartford, we'll find out what state set is in, and also we'll find out if I have to compete with Frodan for best of. So I think that will be the main indication of whether or not I'm the Riftbound World Champ.
Yo, Frodan, which one are you this set? Are we TFT or are we Riftbound?
TFT champion always. Riftbound's a fun game to play, but in the end, it's just a competitive outlet that I like to do on the side. I mean, I just like competing. I like card games, and it was my first tabletop card game, so it's always like a fun endeavor. It's funny because my first tournament, I actually had a successful run. Everyone kind of attributes like, wow, you're like deep into it, and to a certain extent, I am. But at the same time, TFT is my first love right now, so it's always going to be my priority.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Well, we're going to talk a lot about TFT today because this is the preview show for the upcoming TFT Pro Circuit coming for set 17. And there's going to be lots we're going to talk about, from some of the 4v4 EWC stuff to format and predictions and all of these things, as well as our first roll down rankings for the set, followed by a live draft for fantasy for the whole TPC of the set. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Unleashed, because, Frodan, you have a video coming out with DSG. Did you pull anything cool?
I pulled an overnumbered Vi from the latest set of Unleashed, and it was in the box that Riot sent me, which is, thank you. I didn't realize I was on a Riftbound podcast. I would have prepped differently if that was the case, man.
Yeah, we like to have, like our fingers just gently in the honeypot, just in case they give us a card reveal next set. We're laying the groundwork for it.
I got myself an overnumbered Poro.
Nice. Those are really cute. I think some of the art is really, it's all over the place this set, which is cool. I think that also means that not everyone's going to like 100% of all the art styles, because it goes all over the place, right? The watercolors on Rengar, to the chibi style Lilia, to the, kind of the traditional League of Legends style with like Mastery. So there's like a lot of different cool stuff about it. The gameplay is kind of degenerate so far in my game testing, because I think Elder Dragon and Aurora is like pretty insane. But overall, Unleashed has been a good time so far.
Good.
I was out at MagicCon this past week for work. I was working on the production team, so I was there from Tuesday to Monday. And while I was out there, I actually got to do a pre-rift with Sherman. Riot Sherman was out there playing Magic, and so we got a couple people together to play some Unleashed on Friday. I didn't pull anything crazy. The person next to me pulled an overnumbered Poro, but I got to make a pretty fun Ivern deck. He was really, really cool in pre-rift, in like the limited format. I don't think he's particularly good in the constructed format, but very, very fun to play. So I had a good time.
Birds, cats,
Ivern
dogs.
depends entirely on your draft pool. Like if you get birds, cats, porgs, and dogs, you're good. If not, then you're kind of out of luck. So
yeah,
just depends.
It's fun for sure. We love Riftbound, but we're here to talk TFT, so let's get into it. New set is here, and with it comes a new competitive season. And this set has a lot of opinions about it. A lot of people saying that this is like the worst set of all time, but clearly you've only played the last set and maybe this one.
Not even close.
Crazy.
Not even close.
It's crazy. Some of the response
is when people say like this is the worst experience of my life, and then you look and they're 21. It's like, well, it's the worst experience of your life so far, because you haven't experienced much. A lot of people are like, well, I started in set 13. It's like, well, yeah, sure, maybe if you played 4 sets of TFT, this could be the worst experience so far. But it's not. It's nowhere near the worst set of all time. It's a crazy take.
I mean, even if you started in set 13, like I would argue it's still not even close to being the worst set since set 13. I think so much of this has to do with just coming off of set 16. I talked to Jack about this quite a bit. Obviously, I was a bit out of the loop last set. My wife and I had our third child, and I wasn't casting regionals. Thank you. Yeah. So I wasn't casting regionals or worlds. And so I got to have like a nice little vacation from TFT. As much, obviously we all love TFT, but when you have an opportunity to step away and do some other things with your life, it was nice to have that time. I came back for this set. And I told Jack instantly, I love this set. I am having more fun playing set 17 than I have had playing TFT since probably set 13. I am having an absolute blast every single game. And I think it's really just because people were so invested in the end of set 16 and the place where that landed, that it's just by comparison it feels worse to them. But listen, like us old heads, we've gone through true hellfire. This is nothing. This is a great set. I think this patch is kind of whatever, but like overall, I think the mechanic's pretty fun. I think the trait web allows for like some cool things. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. And the thematics feel the most fun to me from any of the recent sets that aren't vanilla skinned.
Yeah, I think part of it is also you probably took a break from TFT, and one of those things about gambling addictions is that when you take a break and you come back, you start remembering how fun it was. So I think the fact that you were away for a few months and now you're like, wow, the core gameplay loop is pretty fun. Plus,
right,
you're also getting older. Sorry, it's just a fact of life. That's what existence is. So with the carousel removal, you're probably less APM and mechanically gated now. So of course you would like to see it. It makes a lot of sense.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I would like to say the last few weeks I've played a little bit more mobile than I probably should. And it feels so much better on mobile, not having to click really fast and your finger gets in the way and you get the wrong unit. Anyway, it's fantastic. I'm enjoying the set. It's different. Obviously, going from 100 to 60 champs means that it feels less flexible because there's less champions to play with. And so that's just the reality. And this is just, comparing it to last set, it's different. I think the mechanic's fun. I think some of like the social deduction and like, playing against each other in that way is very interesting, and also the mechanics. So there's plenty to be seen, and one of the things I'm most excited for is seeing the pros really take the stage in different ways this set, because we have the TPC, we have the individual tournaments we talk a ton about, but we also have EWC being this whole set. So 4v4 is a TFT game mode where you're playing with a whole team, and a lot of orgs get involved and all these different things. And it is very fun to watch, and it's all happening on set 17, which is unique from the last 2 times. So before we dive into all of this stuff around individual and professional TFT stuff, let's talk about 4v4 a little bit, because it is very interesting. And I think the first update for since our previous podcast on who made it is it's anyone who filled out both forms. So
yeah,
we'll get that out of the way
is
first.
A pretty difficult qualification method because TFT players, and apparently not just TFT players, but a lot of their managers and organizations just do not read the rules or just maybe can't read in general. So that was a very difficult trial that people had to pass. For the few that did, though, overall, like the quality of play was just a lot lower in the open qualifier because so many good players and teams were not there. Yeah. And I also think a lot of people lost motivation as well. I mean, that was definitely impacting our team, Team Academy. Like we signed up because we thought it was going to be a large community gathering of everybody. And so everyone was going to be there. It'd be weird if we weren't there, right? Like it'd be weird if Robin and Citadel and Emily Wang signed up with like Solus, T-Lides, Greg signed up with Kurum, and Bobster, right? And you have all these like people kind of like putting together runs to see if they could put together to be there. It'd be weird if like Digital Invasion wasn't part of that. So we just like signed up because everyone else is, but we weren't going to take it seriously because in the end, those guys' focus is on 1v1s, competitive, right? They're fired up. Wasion's like very, very hungry for his first championship. And so when we signed up and everyone got DQ'd, these guys lost all motivation to scrim. They didn't scrim a single time, but leading up to the qualifier, so they just rolled up, no practice, and just said, we'll just YOLO it. And I just think that's a huge bummer, right? Just I wish EWC changed their mind. I think I understand why they didn't. If you are not familiar with why they didn't, it was like for political reasons, basically, behind the scenes, within the teams, not like governments, but it was very political within like the organizations, the esports orgs. So they don't want to change the rules. But it sucks. I think TFT was worse for it overall. And now I feel like it was just... I quite feel like for a lot of people, it wasn't like worth the time. For the people that made it, I'm happy for them. But yeah, for a lot of people, it was like... It's just really frustrating. Especially for people who like Citadel. Like, it just sucks. They made the 4v4 tournament. Sorry, Celia. You guys made like a cool event. And then, overall, it was just like... It was just a bummer. And... It really sucks. Sorry, I'm going on a long thing about it, but it really sucks because we also paid a price as a community because a lot of people like stopped streaming for it and stopped creating content and kind of like put off a lot of things to try to make EWC a priority, and now we have nothing to show for it. The fans also got punished as well. So like, what were we actually left with? It's actually a net negative, I think EWC this year has on the TFT community, which sucks because I think 44 is supposed to be a fun game mode, and I think not a lot of people had a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, it did open the doors for other teams, right, to make it through. Teams that are more up and coming, teams that people really didn't have their eye out for because some of these teams were gone. And I think that was one of the few positives, right, that came from that decision of just like, hey, now some of these more underdogs or unknown teams or study groups are now working together to try and make it through. And so I wanted to pull up some of the brackets of who is now going to be moving on to the closed qualifier, joining, what are the two teams? It's Vitality, and who is the other one? Oh, ISG, right?
Isurus, which is a LATAM team, captained by Michael. He recruited like all the top ordering players. So he had Tunington and Cambuli, I believe, and JD, like people who made Worlds. So.
Yeah, so I want to go through some of the teams that are going to be joining them. This is from the tournament that happened 2 weekends ago, from the open qualifiers. So top team of the Stellar Minhee here being Minhee, Philip, Bossel Skills, and Darth Noob. Clearly a group of great players that made it through here. Probably some of the favorites going in. Excited to see them. Also below them, some of the Brazilian favorites. I love seeing Brazil on top. And being able to make it here. Obviously, I think they went second in this event, but it was, or no, they didn't, because they didn't even play each other. But it was fun to see these guys compete.
Yeah, Brazil also got screwed by the rules, by the lack of signups, because the best Brazilian team couldn't get in as well. It's like the team of like Eagle Illusions, Lucas. Like this is a fun team, but like, I mean, so they're good. They're like a solid team. Like Toddy is good, Tex is good, Copico, Babzera, but they're, like, Toddy's a streamer, and he's like me, right? Yeah. He's like a streamer first, but competitor, but likes to compete. Tex, kind of the same thing, even though they both make good runs. The other team was like the Brazilian super team, and they didn't even get in, which Ego Illusions was posting on Twitter how he kind of went through like a depressive episode afterwards. It's kind of sad, because again, for a lot of people, EWC is the way. It's like the crowning point of the year, because for them, that's how they get signed by teams and orgs. And that's how also what funds their salary and keeps their dream alive. And so for them, now they have nothing to play for. So yeah, it's pretty tragic. Anyways, that's all to say. I'm happy for these people that made it through. Darth is the reigning world champion. So, they made it through, and they're a solid team. Plus they're a group of friends. I think it's a really good mix. It wouldn't surprise me if they won the qualifier. Mm-hmm. I don't think Vitality's in the best shape, personally. And so we'll see who ends up winning the close qualifier, but I would peg them as one of the top dogs. They also got signed by Fnatic, by the way.
So, did they?
Yeah, they announced. Wait, I think they announced that on.
No, they announced it. I saw it.
Then you guys didn't.
It was Philip's team, right? That's your. Yeah. So, someone got signed by Fnatic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They got signed by Fnatic, so Fnatic's always like a budget oriented team. They're trying to like figure out like what's the most cost efficient way, and I think this is a good roster pickup. I think they have really good chances.
When I see the 4v4 results, obviously, we're talking about a lot of the reasons that we're seeing these Cinderella runs are due to the disqualification of other teams who didn't come in. But I also think there's an interesting conversation about the translation of 1v1 to a team setting. If you look at any other competitive game, I think of, I came from Halo as my first foray into gaming back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Same.
And that's right. Yeah. It was like Halo 2 for you, right? Halo 2, Halo 3.
Yeah. I started going to MLG at Halo 2 days.
Okay.
Halo 2, Halo 3.
And even if you look back at those tournaments, there were players who would perform really well in free-for-all, but didn't quite translate into 4v4 to find the same level of success. I mean, some, if you think, like, there definitely were. Karma is a good example. Walshy and the Ogres also came from free-for-all. But there were also players who had these consistent top 8s in free-for-all and didn't quite translate to 4v4. And I wonder if there is some level of similarities in TFT. Are there skill sets that even if when you're playing 1v1, you can't quite reach that highest echelon of TPC, can you still be an elite 4v4 player? And my guess would be yes, but I haven't had enough experience with like the top level of 4v4 to really understand what could make a like suboptimal player an optimal teammate.
Well, and the answer to that is yes. I think skills in 4v4 and solos do have obviously transferable, there's transferable skill sets for sure. If you're a good solo player, you have the fundamentals to be a good 4v4 player. But I do think that it makes you have to think on a different plane than you usually do in TFT. You have to think about like, what does this mean in the context of the lobby, like a lot more. And here's the reality is a lot of TFT players are so individually minded that it's hard for them to kind of get into the 4v4 mindset where they just keep making micro mistakes. I think, for example, Dissoap for 4v4, it doesn't favor his skill sets. I don't think Dissoap's the best 4v4 player, and I wouldn't even put him in the tier 1 of the best 4v4 players, mainly because it's not, but like his raw skill is super high, but I think that he makes a lot of micro errors constantly because he's thinking about his own game. And he like calls it out all the time because he's like, oh crap, I shouldn't have slammed here, or like, oh wait, I should have removed there, and like, oh, I'm just like a little bit afraid. And then all those kinds of things is like it's 4v4 is often determined at the highest level by 1 or 2 fights. And so it oftentimes punishes you because you triple the likelihood that you mess up a matchup because you're going against your teammates, right? Sometimes for some matchups it doesn't matter. But for 4v4, every matchup is kind of important if you're giving an extra life versus taking it. However, this is compounded by the fact that theoretically, it's hard for everyone in the lobby to do it, so everyone's making mistakes. I think 4v4 is a format where a lot of people are just bad at, mainly because it's so counterintuitive in so many TFT ways. So that's one thing. The other thing is I think that communication and teamwork is like a really, really big aspect of it. I think people underestimate the power of like good comms because they just think 4v4 just play 4 good lines of TFT and just make it fit together. But I think this is where like players like Soju, for example, are like shine like a lot because I think his comms are really good. And also comms out of the game is like a really big thing too. I see a lot of like teams really not get on the same page because after the game, they can't agree upon what went wrong. And there's like a lot of people that actually would prefer not to resolve things. They're just like, okay, whatever. Like, let's just move on to the next game. But the teams that are willing to actually get into the nitty gritty together in 4v4, flesh out their mistakes and really work on things, end up succeeding. And I think that's where something like Vitality has been good at, right? That's why they were one of the teams to do it because they are willing to hash it out almost in a meme territory because there's been moments where, you know, Setsuko and Milk like are willing to kill each other. But it's actually part of the magic of 4v4. It almost feels like the locker room where you kind of vent out stuff. So those are the 2 things that I think separate like 4v4 from like the traditional TFT tournaments or the traditional TFT competitive experience.
We need an org to start making some like doc content on 4v4 in person when they actually go out to EWC. I want to see the TFT breaking point.
One of the things I did think that came out of that, though, and speaking to your point, Dan, is those people that are like actually friends or study TFT together normally outside of this team setting do really well, or can do really well in a 4v4 setting. So I think actually the team on the bottom of the screen are actually some of my friends, the Cranberries specifically. They've been playing 4v4 together for a very long time since it's like was invented, and they're starting to see that pay off of being able to communicate well, have high level of trust. And so we see that Dot MZ Shady superiority and Gia's Timo, you know, making it out of the lower side of the bracket pretty quickly and making it over to the close qualifier. And I think that might be very similar for this group of players as well, of people that just study together often. I think of Funkster, Ready 149CM. I know they study together and have talked about all these different things and are now making it out. But they did have to take down Team Academy to make it happen. And that third game was a great one to watch. I know it's probably pretty sad for you to watch, but I thought it was an entertaining match.
Again, we didn't have high expectations going into it. I also think that in a way, it's a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it'd be really cool to go to EWC with your friends and hang out. But also, one thing that players don't talk about is the impact that EWC has on TFT burnout. I think TFT burnout is like very real because it's one of the games that has no true off season if you're a competitive player. Your off season is 48 hours between Worlds and PB launching, and that's if you make it to Worlds. Dehua's in chat. He can tell you it's just like very difficult to stay engaged. And you have players who make it 3, 4. If you're dish up, make it 5 times in a row, and it's just very, very difficult to keep the candle burning. So EWC accelerates that dramatically because you have to relearn and you have to boot camp so hard and you push yourself to the limit. And I know many players, I can list off a name of like 8 to 10 players off the top of my head who've just told me that EWC took too much out of them and it wasn't worth it. It was like fun to play, but to push themselves as much as they did, because they have to scrim 8 to 10 hours a day, and then they have to VOD review, and then they have to do other stuff. They just don't have time for anything else to get ready for 4v4. So overall, I think it's a good thing for we didn't win. The one thing I want to say, by the way, is that in 4v4, you'll often see a lot of teams like this succeed as well because they cover for each other's weaknesses. In 4v4, like the way you succeed at TFT at the highest level consistently, like the reason why Weijin and Dish Soap and Setsuko and Ironbog, YBY, whoever, who we want to talk about, is because they're a much more complete individual player. They're like they have a holistic set of skills that they are able to minimize a lot of mistakes and be consistent. But a lot of players, they have good peaks, but they also have really low lows. Like they're capable of throwing a lot of good games away. And the top players do not. But in 4v4, you have a lot of people covering for you. Like I don't know if this is actually good. And one guy will actually tell you, oh, this is good, and this is how you can do it immediately. So it's like you almost have 3 coaches helping you as well, and like 3 extra eye set. Like, hey, by the way, you're not doing best friends. You're not doing exiles, that kind of thing. Or like telling you how to do things. And that raises the baseline of these guys as players. You could in 4v4, you could legitimately have 4 Grandmasters players be a team of 4 Challenger players if they just cover for each other's weaknesses. And that's what also I think some people like about 4v4, because it feels like they're winning with their friends and they're all elevating their gameplay at a higher level than they're used to, because they're covering for each other's shortcomings. And it's cool. It's like a very anime shonen sports story. Like, we're a ragtag group of friends and we can make it.
I just want to kind of circle back and I guess more double down on something Dan was talking about earlier. It relates to this, which is this idea of one of the most valuable things in 4v4 is like the vision of the game, understanding the big picture. And similar to what he's talking about now, it's very easy when you're playing solos. The goal is just, how do I maximize my individual placement? But in 4v4, the idea is that every placement that you earn does have a cost associated with it, right? If I want to turn my 8th into a 6th, am I winning a matchup that is costing my player who could turn a 5th into a 1st their matchup, right? And so this complete idea that recognizing the game state and the cadence of the game is in some ways more important than individual skill. It's just something you never really see in solos to the same degree. So yeah, 4v4 is awesome, man. We gotta one of these days we'll have a roll down 4v4 team enter something.
Oh yeah. Daniel play or
I think I would have to play on Team Academy. Sorry.
Oh. No. we get team podcast. We get me, CLE, Dan, and we bring Bryce back out of retirement.
Oh man.
There we go.
I think we were gonna need to scrim a lot if we're gonna be competitive.
All right.
I don't know if I can cover all of the weaknesses that Bryce has at the moment. Mainly the dad debuff of not playing for a year and a half.
Well, he can.
Has it only been a year and a half? I feel like it's been longer. No, I guess set 10 was when he stopped, right? Wait, set 10 was that was 2.5 years ago, wasn't it?
Set 11, but yeah, he hated encounters, so he pieced out.
Yeah.
Well, they're still around, so
That's what did
anyway.
it.
There is so much conversation and more 4v4 to be had, right? The close qualifiers coming up to see who actually makes it to the main event of EWC. But I want to talk about some other conversation that's been happening. And dear Frodan, how dare you?
Oh, how dare I? What did I do?
Meta websites completely kill flex play and ruin TFT in general. Thoughts?
I see. I did read. I did read this Reddit thread.
Jack, you want to give a quick TLDR of this post for anyone who might be watching but doesn't know?
Sure. Yeah. Some of the points are, if you don't know, Frodan runs TFT Academy. It's one of these meta websites that I personally use a lot. I use the TFT Academy overlay. It's great. And a lot of the discussion is around now everybody plays the exact same thing and they can't think for themselves. And so that's kind of where this is spawned out of. And so as the guy who is probably responsible and maybe, being subtweeted, subreddited by this post, I'm just curious what Dan's thoughts are. I wanted to give him a platform to speak on it.
So the first thing I'll say is that this is a reasonable reaction when you keep losing in gaming in general. Like when you're trying to play a competitive game and you lose, the first thing that you gravitate towards is that it's not my problem, it's someone else's problem. Like it's because Mordog rigged the odds. It's because the balance team sucks. It's because the meta these guys who are beating me aren't even good. They're just literally copy pasting meta websites. If it's so easy to climb that way, first of all, the top players wouldn't be so consistent. It would be a list of random people of who's who just happen to be climbing. It's the same names every single time. Second of all, if it's so easy, then you should do it. But they don't want to do it because they play at an ascended. They play at an ascended level, right? They're enlightened. These are the individuals who say, "I actually want to play TFT the way it was intended, as in I want to be able to be rewarded for playing any kind of strategy without coherence or without thought, without strategy. I want to be spontaneous and be rewarded for it." That doesn't work in any game ever. Any competitive game ever. Like there's no true game where you can be rewarded for not actually preparing and thinking beforehand. To blame meta websites is actually completely asinine to me. It's ridiculous. If it wasn't meta websites, it would just be word of mouth from streamers. If it wasn't that, it'd be Google Docs that people would be posting, or Twitter guys that you'd be seeing. People want to go into a game and feel like they have a plan to execute, right? It's not the website's fault. It's just what human nature is. A lot of people really want to feel prepared going into it. Not everyone intends to drive out into the road and be lost and just say, you know what? I'll get to the store eventually. I'll just maybe take this path on the left and turn right. People want to be on a general guideline of like where they want to get to. And if you're playing chess, it's like this guy. It's almost like this guy wants to be rewarded for like opening up with the far end, like the B1, B2 pawn, like every single time. Like it's just so stupid that everyone just opens up pawn towards the center, or like opening up this. It's just ridiculous, man. It's an absolutely crazy take to me, and I just don't think that they're pointing the gun at the right direction. They're mad at a lot of things. They need to look inward instead of blaming outside factors.
It's a beautiful analogy, and I agree. I don't know if I quite agree with the idea of they're pointing the gun in the wrong direction, because the other direction is...
Sorry. We live in America. They're pointing the finger at the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I would go so far as to say, like back in set 3, set 4, set 5, it's not like everyone was playing Flex TFT. I would actually make the argument that meta websites have opened up significantly more lines to the average player, which means that on average, like if you go back to set 4, you have a crazy, I don't know, Dusk Riven spot, and out of nowhere there's like 3 people contesting you from nothing, because it's just the only line that they know. They just aren't aware of how to play other compositions in the game. It's not like people weren't contesting each other or playing the handful of broken lines every single game. Like I actually feel like the meta websites have at the very least given you the opportunity to be less contested on average.
Another contrarian take that was posted 2 hours ago by Academy Dish Soap might just be contrarian hot take farming, but I thought about it, and isn't flex play just easier than forcing?
Wait, when was this posted? Was this posted
2 hours
earlier
ago
this morning?
Yeah.
2 hours ago? Might be just contrarian. Hot take farming, but I thought about it. Isn't flex play just easier than forcing? If you were actually able to make boards out of whatever you two-star first, isn't that just easier than the resource management required to force optimally? I mean, that's a contrarian hot take for sure, because it's like it's on the opposite end of the extreme. But I will say this. One tricking in TFT is harder than it sounds. If you think it's as easy to one trick to something, I want to one day pay an actual legitimate mad chatter money to try and do it, because there's a lot of people that come in being like, it takes no skill to one trick, and I actually don't think that's true. I also do think that one tricking is very boring in a game like TFT, but it's not easy to one trick the challenger. It's because TFT pushes you in so many different directions that makes it hard to do that. You can't. It's very difficult to actually truly one trick. But at the same time, the truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? I think that flex play is not completely dead, but is flex play a thing right now in TFT? I would say not as much as it was at the end of last set. Here's another bonus take. Set 16 wasn't that flexible either. It's crazy to me that people keep putting out takes like, wow, set 16, was like flexible this, open that, wide here, and it's like that wasn't true. It wasn't true, actually. How many times did you guys, before they changed the unlock system, how many times was it like, I can't play Kai'Sa Rift Herald because you just didn't have 8 rounds farming Rift Herald? Like, what I can't play the Shadow Isle nonsense because I didn't farm the souls for Callista and Thresh. I can't play Bilgewater now because I didn't get it snowballing since the beginning of the set. Like, what is this actual revisionist history? I think the problem that TFT players have is that they compare the end of the set to the beginning of the next one. They compare and it's understandable because that's the immediate experience that they had, but it is completely unrealistic to expect the beginning of this set. I mean, we part of it is that Riot should have a high quality standard. I'm not trying to just like defend Riot aimlessly here. Riot should have a QC, a quality control, and an assurance that the baseline of a set is good. However, the reality is the beginning of sets are always imbalanced, buggy, a lot of sharp there's always going to be like some dominance, and it's very rare to have the beginning of a set feel like it's better than the end of a set. I don't know if we've ever had that. And so the fact that TFT players constantly have this issue where they regularly keep comparing the best version of a set to the beginning, which is often the worst parts of the set, is just going to set themselves up for so much unhappiness. I understand why they experience this, but if some people are not realizing they're doing that, and I kind of want to help illuminate that for them.
I think that's a great point, and also the fact that if you can't just meta deck your way through a whole set, right? There's always going to be something changing and moving, and also there's going to be different conditions throughout the whole set to do different things, different augments, different openers, all these different things. That's how TFT works. So you play around your conditions, and that's always going to be the case. And so we need to have a little bit of grace.
I want to say another thing too. What the hell does flex play even mean at this point? It's just a buzzword that people use to kind of drive home a narrative of whatever the version of TFT they have in their mind that they can't even really eloquently explain. A lot of people just say flex is just, I look at the end game screen and wow, look at how many compositions there are. There's 8 compositions here, and then next lobby it was 8 different compositions there. Wow, flex play is alive. That is not true. That was actually what was going on in set 16. Set 16 has so many units and so many things you could play, so many lines and compositions because of 100 champions, that it felt like that was flex, but that's not flex. There's a lot of situations where the flexibility was no different than playing, this set where you have Void, but you're always going to be playing like 4 Void plus 1 or 2 different units. Wow, instead of playing Wukong, I play Shyvana. Nice, great flex. That's not real true flex the way that people want the game to be. True flex is one of the things where there's actually no meta. True flex means that there's no meta. That means that there's no established dominance, right? Just because you get this opener doesn't mean that you should be playing towards this endgame state. That's where most of TFT has existed. Flex would just be like, I could play 4 Bastion and 4 Sniper right now, or next game I could be playing 6 Brawler plus Voyagers. And it's like, and all of that should theoretically be within a range of balance, depending on conditions and augments and items of 4.2 to 4.7. And that's what they think. That's what flex kind of actually means. And that has never been true in TFT, except for maybe 1 or 2 patches. And even then, you could argue that those patches weren't really like flex as much as there was severe imbalances that enabled certain units to be independently good. I want to take an example of What do you think? Okay, let me ask you guys. Has Flex ever existed in TFT? First of all, do you guys agree with me? Has Flex ever existed in TFT? And if so, can you tell me a time when Flex actually was, like a patch? Any set, any patch, any time in TFT's history? If so, I'll pass it back to you guys. I'm basically now just ranting.
I don't want to derail the point you're trying to make. I just want to say, I think Flex Play has never truly existed in the way that people want to believe that it did. And I am in the camp that I know a lot of people don't agree with, that I think Flex Play looked alive the most when the average player was significantly worse and top players. I mean, the good examples everyone talks about, like, mismatched Sox in set 4. Sox was a fantastic player in set 4 and 4.5 and was attributed this Flex Play style. I think that if you took the caliber of play that we see in set 17 and put those players back in set 4, 4.5, you wouldn't see that same Flex Play thrive in the way that it did, because I think the top players were significantly better than the average player in their lobbies. And if you had to average the power, the strength level of any given lobby, let's say it was like, I don't know, I'm going to say an arbitrary number. The average board strength at any given time was a 6 out of 10. I think that right now the average board strength might be like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. And in that world where the average board is weaker, a suboptimal line that is the path of least resistance for a top player is going to have more success. So I don't think that Flex Play ever truly existed in the way that people want to believe it did.
I also believe that there's a certain level of TFT's designed to have traits and classes and combos of items and augments that make things stronger. And as people discover them, they become comps, they become guides, they become tips and tricks to make your comp better. And as soon as when they're being discovered, it is Flex Play. It's like, wow, that's a cool combo that somebody's not tried yet. But as soon as it becomes good, then it's on a meta website and it's not Flex anymore. So it just goes in a circle. And
that's kind of what Dan is describing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Dan's describing when he's saying, like, a lot of people think something was flexible when in reality it's just gameplay anchored by something that is extremely broken. And it feels flexible because you can build whatever you want around a broken thing and it'll still feel pretty good.
Yes, the most this is like one of my takes, but the most flexible metas has been in some of the sharpest imbalances. So it sounds kind of crazy, but one of the most flexible metas was when people would play Syndra in set 12.
Yep.
Because Syndra was such a powerful. If you guys don't know, Syndra was a 2-cost in set 12. And whenever she casted, the next time she would cast, she would add more orbs. And so you would stack her with a bunch of mana items, like Rageblade and Shojins, like any variations. 2 Shojins, Rageblade, 2 Rageblade, Shojins, whatever, like adaptive, Rageblade, it doesn't matter. Just get her to cast as much as you can. But because she was so warping, all you had to do, truly, was play 2 Incanter Syndra. That's all you had to do. 2 Incanter, which is the equivalent of 2 Conduit or 2 Invokers, whatever you want to call it. And there was legitimately 6 to 7 or 8 different builds that you could play of Syndra, and it was all valid as long as you had Syndra 2. And then somebody would win the lobby because they hit Syndra 3. But that was like a very flexible meta. Now, it wasn't very wide meta. Now that's where people really confuse it. Flexibility does not necessarily mean you have a wide diversity. People are thinking about like, oh, Flex should be a diverse experience. Flexible and diverse is a true utopia that I don't think can ever exist. Yeah. It's just impossible. There's just too many different compounding factors that would make it thing. But Flex Play has definitely existed. Another example that's really for the OGs, the old people, the people probably who were alive back then in 2019, was Set 2 Azir. Set 2 Azir was so broken that you didn't even need to play any of his traits. He was a summoner. He was a desert unit, which gave a bonus on his hex, and then he was a summoner, which would summon additional copies of his Sand Soldier. But the thing with Azir's ability is when he casted, it would summon a soldier randomly to an enemy unit. So it can summon to the tank, it can summon to the backline, it can summon to the support utility unit. And so you would stack him with Rageblade and AP, so that way eventually he'll just one-time summon a Sand Soldier to kill your enemy carry. He was so broken that you didn't actually need to play any summoners. And then the common way you attack attached with him was assassins. And so the comp was called Summoner Assassins, but it was really anchored around Azir, and he was a 3 cost. He would 2-star 3 cost, and you would legitimately have 4 to 5 players play Azir 2 and just flex anything because he was so broken. These are some of the most flexible metas that's ever existed in TFT. It was literally 7 units plus Azir. It wasn't. I'm not even exaggerating. Just you could play anything.
Honestly, there needs to be like a history lesson done on some sins, because that was the time that term flex play came alive, was in the era of some sins being dominant. And like you're saying, it is the perfect example of something that is only flexible because it's broken. Like the people who do believe flex play is the path of least resistance should get me a reward, it has its own problems. That like the game can't exist as whatever you're handed should always reward you, right? Because if that is the case,
true. You're not making good decisions. Then all decisions are basically meaningless if some decisions are. If every decision is generically good, it's kind of what you're supposed to say. Like if you just got rewarded for just playing any like BS upgrade you get, then it's almost like a luck simulator of who hit first. Because it's just going to be a snowballing compounding factors. Things being relatively good and bad is good for TFT. That is also why some augments being like a 4.7 to a 4.9, some people would to be like, we should buff. But sometimes in those situations, sharper experiences can be good for the diversity of decision making. I do want to say one thing too, is that that's not the only version of flex. I don't want people to say like, that's the only way we can get flex. Set 4 and set 10 were also very flexible, mainly because of an overwhelming amount of inflation, known as the chosen mechanic. The chosen mechanic was also highly flexible because you could instantly get board strength by literally selling a unit and then just spending 2 to 6 gold and immediately be found with another upgrade that you could potentially itemize and play around. And that introduced interesting decision points of how you spiked based on your roll down timings and how that played with the lobby dynamics. Now but I would argue that was not that enjoyable once we figured out what were the good units versus the bad. And in set 10, for example, Heartsteel Dominance was way too prolonged. But that's another example of flex play that I think people don't talk about enough when they factor in. They think flex play is kind of like this set, the flex unit was like Nami, right? Because Nami just kind of needs 2 replicator plus any version of Space Groove. So people play like Nami flex. They kind of view this thing of like, I rolled down and I have like 2 to 3 units. I can just kind of play whatever. That's only one aspect of flex that I think people need to understand, that there's different versions of it. And I just want people to know what the hell they're talking about. When they say completely kill flex play, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You're just saying words to just try to get people mad. And it worked. Your rage bait worked. And now I'm upset.
We need someone to write a thesis paper on defining flex play in TFT. That's what we need. I know no one will read it because we can't read it, but somebody should do it.
We had the Bryce and Mortdog debate.
Oh, that's true.
Whatever set that was. Set 10 or something? Go watch that episode of Don't Talk If You Don't Know.
That's great. All right.
Our final episode, I think.
Was it really?
Our final of our regulars before we start doing just random reunion ones.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Also, Jack, we gotta
roll because we got to talk about all the TPC stuff. So let me get through some of the format and like all these boring stuff, and then we're going to get into the juicy bits of the TFT Pro Circuit. If you don't know what this is the top echelon of TFT players, the Tier 1 circuit, the Pro Circuit, and there's 3 cups to set. Stargazer Cup is the one we're covering today, coming up this weekend. And we're so excited because 32 of the best players in the Americas specifically, but this happens in other regions as well, compete all weekend in a tournament, starting with 32 players, working all the way down to a top 8 checkmate lobby in the final day, where the person that wins that checkmate lobby goes all the way to the Tactician's Crown, to that World Championship level, and it is really, really fun to watch. And so if you don't watch normally, you should watch Frodan's co-stream, because it is just a hoot to watch. I love this stuff. And that's why we're here yapping about it, because checkmate is so incredibly fun, and also it's fun to watch some players.
Do you still feel that way after the way the World Championship ended previously?
I mean, we came out on top, so I can't be that
That's
bad.
true. You know what? No further questions, Your Honor.
Yep.
North America on top once again. EU somehow choked once more. Sorry.
Yeah.
They bailed us
Yeah.
out. They actually they gave us the alley oop. That's what they did.
True. That's true. Do we think anyone that's not named Wajan Iverson is going to win one of these lobbies this time?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be statistically unbelievable if Wajan won 4 cups in a row, but almost to the point where I would actually say that might be the most lucky streak I've ever seen in TFT, just because it's just so hard to do that. But I think that there's a lot. Okay, the thing that I want to say about TPC is that the top players are good and they're going to constantly stay in. But after watching the way other systems crumble because they keep trying to just insulate it, it's nice to see new talent. And I think the up and coming group of players in North America, it's like wave 4 now, wave 3 or wave 4 of players. They're really hungry and they're trying really hard, right? You're talking about like people like Reddy and 149 centimeters, right? And like Ladder Slayer. These are players like people you just don't really like Wigwug. These are players that you don't usually see very often talked about, but they work super hard and they want it way more than a lot of other players do. And I think that at once upon a time that was also the top players, but it's just that's why it's important to have the vets, and that's why it's important to have the young guns. And they're pretty young too. A lot of them are in like their early 20s. People keep saying like, we're the young guys in TFT. It's because you don't talk to any of them. You talk to your boomer TFT friends who are all pushing 30 and they're all addicted to sports gambling. And you don't actually watch other people, watch other streams, interact with anything. You just stay in your little clique. And you're just going to one day wake up and find yourselves in tier 2 while these other guys who have been trying and practicing and grinding and putting the time and investment in take and eat your lunch. So I just want to say it right now that I do believe in the next wave. It's actually infuriating to me because a lot of these other guys some of these other guys put minimal effort in, are very public about how little effort they put in. And I'm not calling anyone out in particular because some people are going to immediately think I'm talking about Soju. I think Soju actually puts in way more work and effort than almost everyone that you might be thinking I'm talking about. I'm not. But I want to say that these guys, yes, they're fundamentally worse because they're younger and they started later than you guys. You guys have been doing it for so long. You've seen it all. You've learned a lot of lessons. Let them learn. They're trying to push down on them. They're like, these guys who think they're good, they're so bad. They don't have the fundamentals. They're trash. These guys are ass, whatever like lingo you want to use. It's like, well, yeah, because they're just starting. In years' time, they just give them time to prove themselves. And I think that over time, you'll realize that the field has elevated a lot. This is the most, you talked about it earlier, guys. This is the most competitive TFT has ever been. Mm-hmm. More people are trying for it ever before. It's the hardest it ever has been to be consistent, which is why Wajan Iverson's streak is crazy, right? You always have to think about the sportsflation, right? How the next generation is better than the previous because they've learned so much from the previous ones. Like the Changshen Lees and the Millennium Foxes today would run circles on mismatched Sox back then in set 4, even though that Sox is a god. He is truly a god. He's like the godfather. He's Abraham, right? To everyone. He's our true father's father. But like they would run laps over him because they know so much more now. They would kick his butt. So it's just a reality of it. And I just want to give an opportunity to gas up some of the people that you haven't heard yet. Yeah, they're unproven, but just give them a little bit of time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is there anyone in particular that either of you guys have your eye on that you're excited to see debut this set?
Oh, I mean,
Kai Wang, because some people, I'm not going to name any names. Some people don't think Kai Wang is very good. And I think this guy, having observed him over years and watched him and interacted with him on multiple occasions, like, in EWC, we actually waited for our flights. So we just sat there and grinded ladder for a long time. And I got to listen to Kai Wang in real time, process and talk about stuff. That guy, he's probably one of the best players that just doesn't get hype in general. I think he's top 10 NA and he has been for some time.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to continue to hype up Wigwug. I think he perfectly describes who that next generation of like, I'm the hard worker. I'm the guy who figures it out. He's constantly hyped up by his friends as like the best player at positioning, period. And so I'm just excited to see him perform on this stage consistently and see what he can do.
I loved having him on that show. We got to kind of see a bit more of his personality, and he's this really interesting mix of like fully confident because he knows he's put the work in, but at the same time holds himself truly accountable for when things don't go his way. It was just, he has this mindset of a champion, and I'm excited to see him. But Reddy is the player, of course. We talked a lot about him last set as he was making this really cool run, and to see him go all the way to Tactician's Crown, finish 11th, nearly make the top 8. I really want to see this guy keep doing well, and we might have a new tri-state #1 representative.
Oh,
yeah, man. Dehua's washed. That brother
watch
is
out.
trying to get a job or something. I don't know. He's like finishing his PhD and trying to get a job. So
I guess
he's in
that's
tier
important.
2 with me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people who are not in tier 2 anymore, I think this is one of the coolest things to be a part of. The current setup is that there is a demotion system and there's also a promotion system, and these guys have experienced both. And I think that's a pretty cool story of, hey, they were in the first iteration of this, they demoted down and they've worked their way back up last set, and now Broseph and JRC are both back fighting in tier 1. I think that's a hard feat to do.
Yeah, and that's things that you want to see. One of the big fears about the system is you fall out and you can never get back. That was the case in Hearthstone Grandmasters when we did something like this. And I think this is a testament to, one, I mean, skill does shine through, and two, that the system actually is kind of working. So I think this is really good. I'm super happy for Broseph. He's one of my favorite people these days to talk to about TFT. I love the guy. And I don't know much about JRC, but I think the few times we interacted, it's always been very cordial. And he's like CN adjacent, so it almost feels like he's almost like an infiltrator. When JRC does well, I'm like, oh my god, CN's taking over because he's like more from the CN part of the community.
Yeah.
I think also more of the story of these again are the players that we look at as like I guess some of these guys are part of the new wave of like up and coming and continue to prove themselves. I think the perfect example of this of the people that are continuing from last TPC is Crazy Cat, being the guy that everyone was like, this guy is so bad. He's so bad. He didn't even know he was going to be a TPC. He's the worst. Yet
Hey, who said that?
Continued to show. So I don't know. I don't want to name names.
Name names,
Where did you
man.
hear that from?
It was just a
That wasn't
general
in my chat,
consensus.
I'll tell you that much. I was
Hey,
gassing this guy up, man.
we love this
Crazy
guy.
Cat guy is pure vibes. He's one of my favorite people to watch that isn't just like a known streamer. Just because this guy is always doing something crazy.
Either way, I think he's the perfect example of your point, right? He's just an unknown guy, and you can't just write him off because of that. Has fought his way back. I think David Ace is another example of that as well, who had a great set. And I'm excited to see these guys work their way back. I think Hostway Deleted at the bottom here had one of the worst TPCs last set and still fought his way back through regionals to then come and prove himself again.
Yeah, I mean, there is one tragic element of TPC is that minor regions get suffocated. I think LATAM has struggled a lot, and even more so after, like, it was first the Set 11 merge in Inkborn Fables when we merged into the Americas, and then now in TPC it's been really difficult. The shining bright star is Michael, but he's sort of like the lone hero. And we had some people go in and out, like Kiki came in, he's out. Jose Delita is in, right? And there's other people that might, but it's just important for LATAM to get their players in. So yeah, Jose Delita he's outmatched. Yeah, I consider him a massive underdog again going into this, but he did do well regionals week, and that's what really matters to stay in, and he keeps the dream alive. So I hope that LATAM does well, even though I don't think that Josue is like the favorite by any means right now. He's not bad though. Like he certainly can hang. But the difficulty in TFT is like you have to show it over the long period of time. So we'll see if you can do it.
Well, speaking of people that have shown it over a long period of time, these people have never left. These are your pros, the people that have continued through the pro circuit to this point. And I think there's players in here that we would expect to be up here, right? You're thinking of Robin and Setsuko and Weijin and Disho, players that are great TFT players super consistently. Gangly, who do you think are some of these players that you look at like these guys have stuck around for so long and maybe aren't people that we'd expect to do that?
So I have two, and I think one is more expected than the other. The one that does surprise me is Quinta. I think Quinta going into set 15 was not someone that most of us had our eyes on as someone we'd expect to continue on in the TPC, and then has had a really strong run over the last 3 sets to just have consistently improving results, even making the Tactician's Crown run. But the one that I think surprises me, and I think many people would disagree with this, I'm surprised that Bosso skills survived 3 sets in a row. All right, now hold on, hear me out. No, hold on.
Dude,
I
thought you guys were homies. New York, New Jersey.
No, we are
wow.
homies. We are homies. I love Bosso, but this is what I think the reason people would find it surprising is if you have only watched since, I don't know, the last year of TFT, the last 2 years of TFT, you probably do think of Bosso as one of the most consistent players in the TPC, like in top level TFT. But if you go back to like where Bosso first started, I remember Bosso being this player as anyone who talks to him knows he's brilliant. This guy gets TFT like fundamentally. There's something in his bones that he can just click with the game, but his results never quite matched up to the level of respect that he had from people who played at a high level. And I remember when Dan and Bryce did their Don't Talk If You Don't Know ranking the top 50 players of all time, they had Bosso super high on that list. And they even gave the caveat of, okay, if you look at this guy's results, you're not going to agree with us as him being this high on the list. But if you talk to Bosso, you'll get it. Like, this guy's a beast. I think that TPC has been a new era in Bosso's career, that he's shown that he's able to consistently perform at the level that everyone knew he was capable of, but was too inconsistent to do it every single time before. So I love Bosso. I'm not saying I don't like him. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I root for this guy every time, but I did not expect him to survive 3 straight sets. I thought we would see a little bit of inconsistency from him, and instead he's been, one of the best performers from Tri-State in Pro TFT.
Okay, so it's funny because I like to fact check. It's a dying art these days. But so I actually pulling up my top 50 rankings right now, and going through.
Yeah,
so
look at that.
At 50, we have Inigo, who works at Riot now. We actually did the actual stats. Oh my god, some people we haven't seen in a while. Like Camu Lee at 45 once upon a time. This was done 2.5 years ago, by the way. Cam was just getting started. That he would actually shoot up the rankings for sure. Soul is in his own tier. Bosses goes at 38. You said that's super high? 38?
Look at his stats though, right? 4.6 AVP, 50% top 4 rate. That's pretty high for 38th, I think.
Why do we have Kyun at 30th? Can someone tell me that? This guy has literally, because we don't have stats, and he made regionals like a couple times at that time.
Well, that was also, what set was that? Wasn't that like set 9 or something? It was even like competing.
Yeah, the thing is, like, everyone else around him has had like notable. Oh, actually, you know what? At the time, I remember.
The set 10 was when he had like the crazy
around
set.
Here, this is where we said no one around this tier has made worlds before, so we started ranking people based on that. Now it looks silly because Darknoob's a world champion, right? JD's been to worlds. Bosso's been super consistent, and so on and so forth. But it's just, I'm just trying to remember. But
I just miss Goose, man. Bring Goose back.
Yeah, man.
My goat, GVA.
Don't we all? We all miss him.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Soju top 10. Wasian, Malala number 5. Wasian 4. Oh, it's because we have replay. Wow, we have replay at 2. Oh my god, this is beast. I think
What set was this that you made that? Do you remember?
11. This is set 11. At the very bottom, it says before regionals happened, and then Dirsa won worlds.
Oh yeah. So this is right on Dishop's like.
Yeah, on the up.
We had Setsuko at number 1. Oh yeah, because this was this was at the time when everyone thought Setsuko was just the best, and like the next time he goes to worlds, he would win. Turns out that was Dishop, and then Dishop again, and then Wage and Iverson would take over. So it's like, this is when we did the rankings. But part of the reason why was because this was an episode 50 special of when we ranked it.
I remember messaging Bryce
wow.
and making a really hard case for why I thought Bert should be top 10. I don't remember where you guys put him, but he did not land top 10.
The problem with Bird is that he's He played for a
37.
year. He played for
Yeah,
a year and a half of competitive. You just can't
Yeah.
put him top 10.
But you know what?
And by the way,
fun fact about Burt is that everyone talks about set 4 socks. Did you know that Burt had like a 90 game sample size and blew socks out of the water in AVP for that set?
Burt was probably the best player in set 4, period. But there's no disagreement there. I want to say that a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, well now it's just a 1 wage and 2, or if you were in terms of like historical, and then like maybe replay and Darth / Milal, you can like make an argument there for like who could be there. But I also think that I would put Robin third right now over Setsuko. I think my 1, 2, 3, if we were like to retire right now, is probably Dish, Wajin, and Robin. But that's a different topic for another day.
That is definitely another day. But this is a great segue because we've tried to carry the torch a little bit on the rankings idea and have some panelists and rank players just so people can have an easy way to have expectations going into tournaments on who this is. So this is the first iteration of the Rolldown rankings for set 17. This is presented by Citadel Gaming. Super shout out to them for sponsoring this. Continue to invest into the TFT scene and into the show. And so we're grateful to have them be a part of this. We sure do. They're great. I'm not even biased at all. But let's get into it because this is our first set of rankings.
This is the rankings, the power based on the ballots.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, cool.
We're going to have to blow through this so we have time for fantasy, though, Jack.
Yeah. Okay, so we will blow through this because we did talk about players a good amount already. The way that this works is we've surveyed every single player playing in TPC has a ballot, as well as 9 panelists that we selected that follow along with the TFT scene closely and should be some people that are knowers around what's happening. So it helps them stay engaged, helps us have a little bit of outside perspective other than players. And so they rank these players on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of like star rankings, like what form are they in, what are their expectations. 10 being like this guy is going to win the whole thing, and 1 being this guy is going dead last. And so that's kind of where these numbers come from. And so we have all 32 players from the TPC ranked. And so let's take a look at our first bottom 8. Millennium Fox, Cheng Shen Lee, Josue Deleted, Crazy Cat, Bro, Who, Conda, Ladder Slayer, and David Ace on our bottom 8 here.
I want to give a shout out to Crazy Cat. I think this is his all-time peak of where he's gotten ranked.
29th, bottom 4.
But I think, I'm telling you, Jack and I were talking earlier today, I think this guy needs to be given a little bit more respect. He's like top 100 on ladder right now. I think he's 70th or so, which I think is the highest he's ever been on ladder. I can't say that with certainty, but at least from when I've checked, that seems to be the case. And most importantly is the trend line. Even in just his, I am not a believer that solo queue has a direct correlation between tournament performance, or I mean, it has some correlation obviously, but it's not always indicative of what will happen. But I do think that if someone goes from being a Masters to GM to Challenger player while retaining their spot in TPC after earning their spot in TPC, like, that's a good indication that this guy's he's moving on up. So I would love to see Crazy Cat move himself into the next column over, break the 5.0 rating this set. That's my goal for Crazy Cat.
Yeah, this is a scale of 1 to 10, so 3.5. That sounds a little bit high based on my rating scales. I think I went like 1 2s and then a bunch of 6s and then like a couple of 7s and 8s and like one or 2 10s. I feel like in general I like rate on a much more aggressive scale. But no, Crazy Cat's fun. He's like the modern version of Spicy Appies, as if he's like evolved. And we know, as we know, the white guys in TFT in North America are an endangered species. So we need to
sure are.
Yeah.
So true. It's so true. Let's take a look at the whole bottom half of our roll down rankings, looking at 17 all the way down. And what we'll see is a lot of the players that are new, right? That don't have expectations, are unknown to a lot of the other players and how they perform, but have made it to this stage. I think probably one of the biggest ones I look at is Pocky is way far down this list for how he performed last set.
I couldn't find his solo queue, like what account he's playing under. Do you know, Dan?
He was playing last set under I Love Auto Fister, and he was rank 1 for a long time.
Yeah.
Let me see if he's I don't think he was playing much at the beginning of the set because he actually spent most of the set playing for boot camp.
Greg's weakest chud.
Weakest chud. Oh, he's top 22.
Oh,
See?
wait. Then
Greg's
this is like
weakest
this is a
chud.
crazy ranking to me. Like, Pokegom is in a reasonable spot on ladder, and people are putting him ranked 22.
It's really hard to understand what form he's in because he's very private about his TFT, and also I feel like he's actually played way more games than I thought.
Yeah, he's grinding.
Oh,
He's like almost 300
games?
games. Yeah.
Wait, because because at the Box Boot Camp, he was also one of the coaches. Box hired a group of 6 coaches or so. I think they brought in DPay, so maybe 7. And Pocky coached the most hours of all the boot campers by a pretty big margin. I was the second highest. I think I coached like 27 hours in 10 days or so. So I thought I was putting a lot of time in to try and pay it forward. Pocky coached something like 40. He almost did a full work week of coaching hours. So the fact that he was dedicating so much of his time to coaching and playing this much probably means Pocky's in pretty good form.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is a fake ranking. I'm gonna say. I'm telling you right now. This is
But
Pocky.
part of his
Pocky's
visibility
top
was
12.
it's hard to see. It's hard to see. We don't know.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't even know he was. I thought he was coaching and not playing the game right now. So it was hard for me to tell.
I think a lot of these players just don't get the historical. This is just how this works, right? Without consistency, you just don't get rated higher than a 6 usually on our rankings because it's just like, oh, you had a good performance. I expect to see, maybe if I'm higher on you, I'll give you a 6. Maybe if I'm a little lower on you, I'll give you a 3 or 4. And I think that's where a lot of these players fall because either they're unknown players or just have the highs and lows. And so we look through this section of the rankings, and I see a lot of that story being had. But as we get to the next 8, this is where we get to see a lot of our favorites and maybe some people that people are giving a lot of respect to. And the one that Gangly saw on this list and said no way was Kai Wang, just to keep with his branding. This guy
is too high or too low.
Gangly, what do you think?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Kai Wang and I we're tight. We're in the same study group. We're bros. I had an apology to him publicly at the end of last set.
Yeah.
No, I'm team Kai Wang this set.
Keep your friends
never
close.
doubted
Keep your
him.
enemies closer. I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I like that.
Exactly.
Kai Wang with another optimal move. People who are rated too low. It feels weird because I feel like all these guys are. You can make an argument for all of them are rated too low. I think it's probably okay. So my common take, the thing that people expect me to say, is that I think people rate Soju too low in general. He's proven to be very, very consistent. He's one of the 3 players who's made final lobbies 4 times in a row. Alongside the guy above him, I would say this is the hot take: is that Tunington should be higher. I don't even know what you really want out of him. Sort of just a Worlds run. I guess that's maybe it. People need a Worlds run out of him. But putting him top 10 is probably their sign of respect. But I think Tunington should be higher than this personally. But then maybe if I look at the top 8 list, it is probably correct. So
that's the hard part, is that most of these rankings, like Jack was mentioning earlier, it's like you have a starting point. Every panelist on this in this project has these players at a certain number when they start, and then they move up or down depending on how they perform. And it's not always relative to each other. Like if you just looked at Chunnington's last set, a 7 does sound super low. But if you consider that most people had him starting him, he was like a 3 point something at the beginning of, or at the was it the end of the set before maybe. He jumped 4 whole numbers. When you look at it that way, it's like, oh wow, people are really respecting him. It's just that everyone has a different starting point, so it's important to keep that in mind when we look at these numbers as our first tournament of the set.
I think
that's fair, and I want to see the top. How are you revealing the top 8? Is it just
one by
one at a time, baby?
Okay.
One at a time. I think players that are starting to get some respect that deserve it, specifically looking at the bottom, is Quinta and Mean first or 8th. Players that are consistent and working their way up and are becoming more widely respected by players and panelists alike. But let's look at number 8 on our rankings as we go one by one here, and that would be Robin songs. But look at the jump in number, specifically between Soju to Brosif, and then we work our way up to Precedent, now to Robin.
Yeah,
it's
a
a
noticeable gap.
huge jump.
Yeah. I think Robin is really difficult to place. I actually predict a downturn in results for Robin. I say that having been like, this is actually the closest Robin and I ever been as friends, because we're like deep in the pocket for Riftbound buddies. Like, we're now starting to collect together, and now we're like so Robin's actually one of my closest friends in TFT now. But I actually predict a downturn for the same reason that I think Wasian and Dishsoap experience, which is I think he's made worlds too many times in a row, and I think there's a motivational, a burnout, like an extension issue that it's just something that's difficult as a human to keep going and pushing. Robin's had the best year of his career last year. He's made worlds 3 times in a row. He's the number, by the metrics of EWC, he's the #1 most consistent player over the past year, which is actually crazy to think about. If you they try to quantify that in a fair way. Robin's the #1 player in the world in the span of a year.
And it's not close.
Wow.
I actually don't know about the it's not close part, but I would say that's an amazing feat. But I also think that the mathematical odds of him continuing to keep that is going to be quite low. So I would say that 8 is actually fair, although we all know that he's a beast and he'll show up anyways.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at number 7, being the reigning champion from the Americas, Darth Nub. A little bit above Robin here, but Gangly, do you think this is too low for the guy that just won it all?
No, actually, I don't think this is too low. I think even when we spoke to Darth Nub after his Worlds win, right? This is a guy who pretty openly says, like, listen, if I'm in form, I think I can win the whole thing. But if I'm not in form, then I might just go dead last. He's like, I remember him talking about being like a 1st or 8th player, but not in the way that he approaches the game, but rather the form he presents in tournament. So I think it's pretty reasonable to give him the respect of putting him top 8, because we know he's capable of going all the way, while also having this asterisk of like, okay, well, if he doesn't show up in his best form, we're not really expecting a deep run in any capacity.
Yeah, doesn't make sense to me. In the end, World is just one tournament out of like 15 to 16 that you play in the year. And it's one of the hardest tournaments, especially because last set was one of the most stacked Worlds we ever had. But Darth, and I say this as respectfully as I can to a world champion, he was not the best player in that final lobby on that day, but he was the 2nd best player, and he everyone gets their moments. And Saya, if he was the best player, but if he was a little bit better, he would have won the world championship, which is very difficult, right? That's just a difficult pill to swallow. I'm Saya, I'm pissed, I hate checkmate. And I in some ways, I'm really happy that Darth won, but in other ways, I kind of wish that Saya won as well, just for like the fairness of competition. That being said, we've also seen Darth. This is actually something we didn't talk about. He almost was NA Revan. He actually almost missed.
Yeah, you're right.
Getting back into TPC, even though he won a cup, because he did so poorly in the 2 other cups. He actually had, because Revan last set from EMEA won a cup and then went 31st and 32nd, meaning that he had to get to the final lobby of the World Championship in order to get back into TPC. Darth was a couple of placements off from doing the exact same thing, and funny enough, he would have won the whole thing too. So he's first rate. He is very much first rate. I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Number 6 on our Rolldown rankings is someone that has had incredible consistency, but last set didn't quite go the way until it was regionals time, and that'd be Cambuli.
Yeah, this is where, to me, it goes back to everyone has a baseline of where they expect these players to be, right? And then you move the needle based on their performances. Cambuli, at one point, I think was as high as 4th last set, right, Jack? Does that sound right?
I think he broke into 3rd.
Yeah, he might have broken into 3rd, and had 3 rough TPC placements, but obviously, making it all the way to at regionals. No one's really doubting whether or not Cambuli is still an elite player. I think this is more just a reflection of him not having a strong regular season last set. So I wouldn't be worried based on his result in last TPC. I still very much expect Cam to be one of the best players of our region.
I mean, I think this is very justified to be in the top 8. I think Cam would be the first person to tell you that you're ranking him too low. He made 3 Worlds now in a row. You're talking about Cyber City, KO Coliseum. So I'm trying to do the Riot thing. 14, 15, 16, and Lauren Legends. He's made 3 worlds in a row. He got second at regionals last set. And so by all means, if it wasn't for Robin, Cam would be the best performing NA player over the past year as well. So if you were to like go off of historical rankings from 365 days, it should be Robin 1, Cam Beasley 2. Now that being said,
if you ignore domestic results, though, right?
Yes. If you well, okay. I mean, to be fair, yes. But I also would say that for the same reason of why I say that I don't expect Robin to be able to churn out those performances is for Campbell as well. It's just difficult, man. I mean, Cam's a lot younger than Robin. He's got infinite energy. I think Cam's like in his early 20s. So I think he's like 23, 24. So he still probably has that energy and that hunger. Also, because I think Cam still it's interesting. He has like a little element of Michael Jordan aspect to it, which is it's almost like he thinks everyone's shit talking him constantly. So it feels like Cam plays with a chip on his shoulder, even if I don't think that's necessarily what people meant. I think people were complimenting him last set by putting him pretty high, and he felt like that was disrespectful that you didn't put him in S tier. So I like that. I think he's got a tiger inside of him that wants to leap out and continue to drive him forward. Versus Robin, I think actually is struggling with motivation very openly about it. So it wouldn't surprise me if Cam has like the 3 worlds, like not curse, but like the debuff. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he's like the one that continues to push forward because he has this like mental that can help him stay locked in. And he's streaming every day still. Like he's streaming his scrims. He's practicing hard. It's not like he's not putting the time in. So we'll see if he can keep that up.
I mean, speaking of consistency, also, I think it's been the shining star of LATAM at rank 5, being Michael, who was rank 3, I guess, with the tiebreaker in pro points, but was rank 3 in the world when it comes to pro points. Just him and Chunnington not being able to make the Tactician's Crown last set was kind of a shame, right? Because of how good of a set that they did have. And the players continue to look at this guy as he is still one of the best in the Americas, no matter what, being rank 5 above the rest of these great players.
Yeah, Michael is awesome. He's one of my faves from that, like in terms of the foreign people, not American, that I talked to about TFT. He thinks very uniquely about the game, his value system. I think if people talk about flex, Michael actually plays simultaneously very flexible and narrow, which is kind of interesting. Like he's just he's way more willing to do things that other people are not. And that is flexibility. However, he is like kind of a 2-1 commit chud type of guy too. So it's like he's a very interesting paradox in that way. I think Michael is also susceptible to bad patches. And the thing about Michael is that if it's a good patch for him, he's amazing. If it's a bad patch for him, he looks extremely pedestrian and average because I think he struggles a lot. So I don't know exactly how he feels about this patch, but I rate Michael very highly, but I also think that kind of like Darth, sometimes he'll just take like a really, really bad set of placements. And then he's also like very emotional, which is what I love about him. But that also can work the other way. He can sometimes get down on himself too. So hopefully that doesn't happen because a happy Michael makes me very happy.
Well, next on our list, rank 4. Before we get to, maybe who we just always put in the big 3, is set 54 world champion Marcel P. Getting a lot of respect here. Actually, I am a big Citadel and a big Marcel P guy. I love this guy. I think he's fantastic. Him being at 4 here is a little confusing to me based on how other...
Wow.
Really?
A little bit confusing to me because of how...
Him.
Wow. Okay. The Ganglu's doing the
table,
CLE
the
thing.
tables have turned. Yeah.
This is crazy. It's a little bit crazy for me because of all of the ways that we look at the beginning of the set and we look at consistency as a lot of a huge metric. And I think Marcel has been one of the highest. And I think I gave him an 8. But I didn't think that the consensus around everyone was like this. That's why I'm surprised.
You're saying when you're talking about consistency, though, you're referencing specifically the fact that when he's gone to the World Championship, he struggled.
Yes.
Domestically, he's been extraordinary, right? And to me, I think it's almost like the him and Well, I guess they didn't. Yeah, I guess him and Cambuly kind of have like inverted results in a way, right? Cambuly struggled during the regular season, but he still made the deep run and then gone to Worlds, and he had a top 8 and then some reasonable results as well. I don't know. I think to me, I think people are way more willing to forgive a bad Worlds run. At the end of the day, one tournament, 6 games, 8 games, I guess, for some people, and then you get eliminated. Like, anything can happen. I don't think that Marcel going 39th and 40th at Worlds is, I mean, it's a little bit worrying, but I don't actually think it's like damning enough to say like, oh no, Marcel sucks internationally. Marcel can't hang with the elite players of the world. Like, at the end of the day, like, it is a game of variance, and I would trust his near 300 games of a 4.0 average in competitive play more than I would trust 10 games at Worlds.
Let me add him. Let me add him, CLE. Let me add him, CLE.
Yeah.
This guy struggles internationally. This dude is the EU Slayer. Marcel P has the best international results against Europe.
That's true.
This guy is the EU Slayer, man. This guy can't perform internationally. He had 2 bad reads on 2 patches. And also one of the patches was set 15, man. So let's just call it what it is. Marcel low rolled. It's all good. His last bad tournament was in set 13. And again, he kind of has like this streak. I think you can just kind of close your eyes and put Marcel, Michael, and Cambuly in whatever order, and it would look correct. You could put Marcel, you could put Cam 4th, you could put Cam 3rd, actually. You could put Marcel 3rd, you could put Michael 3rd, and anywhere in this range, and it's kind of fine. That the points are so close, right? You look at it, that it kind of makes sense. But Marcel has, if this is a domestic ranking, this guy is actually kind of terrorized domestically, right? He's making final lobby so often. He's done really well. He's a reigning regionals champion as well, which also people might have kind of forgotten because of his Worlds performances. This makes a lot of sense to me. I think I probably would have had Marcel like somewhere like 5-6, but I mean, this is completely fair. I think it's all just like personal, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s at this point.
Let me just make this clear so I don't get a Twitter post coming after me. Dan and I are in agreement with what we said. I was not saying that this guy sucks internationally. I was specifically saying that even though he had 2 Worlds runs, it is not enough to say that this guy sucks internationally.
This guy's tired.
Didn't Marcel also do well at Paris? I think Marcel did well at Paris as well. So like,
yes,
he did.
Hey, what do you mean he sucks internationally? What this guy actually almost made? It's because they went double checkmate. Because Riot in their infinite wisdom says, you know what's better than 1 checkmate bullshit scenario? How about 2 checkmate? Or actually, let's multiply that by 8. Let's do 9 checkmate lobbies. That's great. Can't wait for Vegas or whatever we go next year. We're gonna have 32 checkmate lobbies. Why not? Just checkmate every game. People love it.
All right, time for top 3, and I think this is if you can do the math and you know the players. There are 3 players left, and they are what we've referred to as the big 3 in North America, specifically for a very long time. We have Wasian, Dishsoap, and Setsuko left. Frodan, you're the only one on the show that has not seen this list yet. Who do you think is 3?
Who I think is 3? Dishsoap. I actually don't think Dishsoap's going to do well this cup.
Well, you'd be correct. It is a big number jump, all the way up to 9.07 here, but the consensus is that Dishsoap is ranked 3 going into this tournament.
And that's first of all, it's a testament to the amount of tremendous respect and aura this guy has, because even Dishsoap at his worst, which I think this is probably the lowest form I've seen Dishsoap be in a while. Like even back when he was like quote slumping, and this slumping was like only averaging like a 4.0 and like still almost making final lobby and making Worlds his 6th time in a row. That was like his slump. But I do think that I don't think Dishsoap is going to be in good form right now, and that's just because of conversation I've had with him. I think that there's just a lot of stuff coming up in his life right now, IRL. And I just don't think he'll be that prepared. That being said, you just can't rank the NA GOAT lower than 3rd. It just feels disrespectful. I love Marcel. I love these guys here in the top 8, but me personally, I would never put this so lower than 3rd, just because his worst is better than everyone's ceiling.
Yeah, I think everybody else on this panel agrees with you just by evidence of the 0.4, 0.5 gap right between Marcel and Dishsoap. I think everyone is in agreement that it would take a lot for you to even rank Dish Soap an 8 out of 10, right? You would have to be really hard convinced that something is wrong with
But
Dish
I think
Soap
I
to
gave
put
him
him
an
in
8
the-
out of 10.
I don't know, but you skew low on everyone though, right?
I skew low on everyone. I think I only
Yeah.
gave. I think I gave Setsuko and Weijin both 10s, and then I think I went straight to 8. I didn't even give anyone a 9. I think.
I feel like this 9.07 to me says it's like 99% of the panelists put him at 9. Then you had like one person put him at 8, and then you had like 2 or 3 people put him at 10. And to
Yeah,
me, I
something
think
like that.
we're going to see a similar trend for Dish Soap unless things go catastrophically wrong.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we have our top 2 left.
He's on his faker arc. All I'm gonna say is it wouldn't surprise if Dish Soap 1-2, then for like a couple years, just kind of like upper middle, but like still very much a threat, still in TPC, still very much could do it, and then everyone respects. Kind of like Title, right? Title's in that territory where he's like everyone just knows he's goated, but he's not like the true threat of APAC at the moment. I feel like Dish Soap's gonna enter that territory, and then he's gonna put on a 3-peat in 2029
Yeah.
I
or so.
love it.
Just
awesome.
Just saying.
The final 2 on this list are Weijin and Setsuko, and I think that I don't know if maybe people will be surprised by this, but it's actually not very close between who is 1 and who is 2, because the respect that Weijin Iverson is still getting is immense. So many people rating him a 10 here, meaning that he's 9.75 towards the top of this list. There is little reason to doubt him in this format because he won it 3 times last set. And I believe he's currently sitting rank 2 on ladder, and Setsuko sitting rank 1. And so these two are the clear-cut 1-2 in the Americas, and I'm excited to see them duel it out in tournament.
I don't think there's that much we need to say about Weijin being number 1 because the entire last season of this show is us essentially, just talking about all the success. To me, Setsuko
Bro, I
is
made
actually
3 YouTube shorts for this guy. They kept asking me like say something different to like celebrate his wins. I had to do a YouTube. They asked me to record a YouTube short for TFT Esports after each cup. And at one point, I'm not gonna lie, I gave up and asked ChatGPT because they're so good at glazing to like help me come up with some new ideas.
Good.
And then at one point by the 3rd video, I'm just like, yeah, you guys got it, man. And they're like, yeah, cool. I just basically asked ChatGPT to write up a glaze for Weijin Iverson, but for the 3rd script.
I
love
think
it.
Setsuko has become a main character this set in a way that we haven't seen him do in a little bit. And it sounds a little weird, but like if you think back to, set 8, set 9, Setsuko, where this reputation is that he's untouchable, right? The greatest 2-set stretch of domestic results the game has ever seen, averaging a 3.4 over like 7 or 8 tournaments. Unbelievable result. Ladder demon, perpetual rank 1. And then, there's all this career stuff where he's getting banned and he's not trying, and we never have a full set where he's really competing, and then it feels like he's not as into the competitive scene as he was earlier. And I don't know him personally, like I'm not saying this to give any insight behind the curtain, but his result on ladder so far this set, it's so above and beyond what anyone else is doing on ladder that it feels like old school Setsuko to me. I don't know if you guys share that sentiment. Maybe I'm over romanticizing it, but it does feel like there's something special about Setsuko right now.
I mean,
So I definitely vibe with a lot of what you're saying. However, I want to say, well, first of all, I had the interesting privilege of working with Setsuko directly for Vitality for a little under 6 months or so. And I want to say that he's definitely had highs and lows, but this is something that he's always done, right? I'm trying to look through his history just to like make sure that I'm not bullshitting, but I'm pretty sure Setsuko just does this every set, and he has been doing it. But the reason why people just are sort of noticing more is because the conversation was about Dish Soap. Dish Soap and replay and then the rise of Weijin Iverson and sort of taking the spotlight away from him. I think that the really interesting thing about Setsuko is that he at number 2 is underrated, which is kind of crazy to think about because his when I say that he's a TFT genius, like a savant, I think that it's like it sounds like hyperbole, but it really is, having worked and seen it up close. people really don't understand what goes through his brain of how he processes things. And what makes it sort of amazing is how intuitive it comes to him. I mean, he jokes about himself always being on the spectrum, right? He makes always a bunch of like autism awareness month jokes and stuff like that, which may or may not be tasteful at times. But I think that the reality is he is like a supercomputer when it comes to TFT. And this is just another day in the office for him. It's another set launch. It's another like patch where people complain that it's all like formulaic and this, and he once again, you watch him play, he just does it differently. So he's been hyper consistent for the past year and a half, 2 years. If you actually look at his results, it's just that he's outshined. Like Weijin did something more. It's like last set, Tunington and Michael had runs that would put them in their own Hall of Fame for like best performances in sets, right? And yet Weijin shined brighter. That's kind of what Setsuko's been doing for about a year and a half. But for about a year and a half, 2 years. It's just that he got banned, and then he kind of went through like a period where he didn't sign up. He like didn't show up to the tournament because he woke up late. And so he actually didn't play in many tournaments in round set 11, set 12. And so there's like this period of downtime where somewhere between set 10 and set 13 where people just didn't see much of him because he just wasn't playing in tournaments. But since set 13, Setsuko has very much, but then there's a one set 13, right? So they again took the spotlight away. He's number 2, and yet he's underrated. That's my line about Setsuko. Yeah. It's crazy.
We talked about Prestivan in a very similar vein for most of last set, where Prestivan has actually had a downtick in his rankings over the last few sets. But if you look at his results, there's really no evidence that would support his ranking getting lower. And the conclusion Jack and I came to last set is that really it's not his turn. People are in the spotlight now. Like you mentioned, Michael and Chunnington having their sets last set, Weijin, really breaking through and having these 3 crazy tournaments, Marcel being on the rise over the last few sets. And sometimes the rankings are just a reflection of it's someone else's turn in the spotlight. So I could see the argument that, yes, Setsuko is underrated at number 2 because it's basically impossible to put Weijin anywhere besides number 1 right now.
Yeah. I think
but like it should be like Weijin 9.75 and like Setsuko 9.7. I think it's like that close to me.
Okay.
And I think after this first tournament, we'll begin to see some of that shape up. And I think it really does take that shape of like, hey, some of this is based off Regional's last set. It's a brand new set, brand new patch, brand new game to play. And so we don't really particularly know, other than ladder stats, on how these players are performing. And these 2 players are the best players in ladder right now. And so them being 1-2, and obviously with their historical results, it makes a lot of sense. But we are already an hour and a half in. So, and we still have a fantasy draft to do. We just went through these rankings, and so we're going to be going to do this with chat. And so this is going to be really fun. I'm particularly excited about it. We're going to be doing a draft for the entirety of the pro circuit. And we have a draft board and our draft picks and all these things set up. Shout out Claude for making this for me. And we're going to be doing a draft, which is Gangly, me, Frodan, and Chat all drafting a team that's going to last.
Wait, Chat's draft? I was going to draft with Chat.
No. Chat is playing against us. That's what I'm saying, man. Chat cleared us.
No, but my Chat is playing with me.
No, your Chat is playing against us.
They're playing against you.
No. It wouldn't look good if I show up Chat once again.
I think they want it.
So
though. They want
I think it's actually important that Frodan and Chat unite forces because.
All right, Twitch poll right now. Does Chat want to play against their favorite streamer or with them?
So how does this draft actually work then? Oh, we're just picking an order.
Yeah, this is snake draft.
Oh, snake draft.
No auction.
I
Yeah. We're going old school with it. We don't have your fancy auction technology.
Pick? So this button shuffles the draft order. But we
okay.
Okay, Frodan.
Their poll says, "Do we want to play with Frodan? No or no?" See, that's what I'm talking about, man. You have to rig it for Chat to.
Sorry, dog.
They just rig it all the time, man.
All right. So the way this works is it's just like if you play fantasy football or any fantasy sports, it's a snake draft. We go back and forth. It's random draft order. So if I click this button, it'll shuffle the draft picks, and we'll see who goes first. Are we ready to click this button? Because this seems like the setup. And also, 4 teams means that it's going to be every player is going to get drafted.
Oh,
which
everyone
is
gets
nice.
drafted.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay,
That is
okay.
better. That's way better. Yeah.
All right, ready?
Let's do it. Let's see.
Here we go. All right, Frodan, you got first pick, bro. You're on the clock right now.
Wait,
Really?
sick.
Where did it say that? Oh, I see. Nice.
See right here?
Cool.
Oh,
Wow, that's cool. The tech.
nice. Okay, well, I mean, I have to go with our first ever pro signed to TFT Academy, and hopefully going to be there forever. I'm gonna have to take Academy Wajan Iverson at number 1.
Boo. I mean, that's
can
a fair
have
pick.
him.
It just makes sense.
Give
He's
me
once
set
again
to
come
go.
home.
No hesitation. I want him. Last set I did first
boring.
pick.
Drafting according to the rankings list.
I drafted Cambly as my first pick last set, and he did let me down because we only tracked pro points, so it only counted the regular season. Did not take regionals into consideration. So
That's changed?
I'm gonna. No, that is still the case. It is still only TPC. So I'm going to try and play a little bit more conservative this set.
If you guys want to, you guys have to basically spam who you guys want to be picked. Who do you guys want? Because I see people saying Marcel. I see people say Robin. Some
Looks like
people
Marcel.
said Soap.
Okay.
And
Well, yeah. So
I think a lot of people are saying Marcel P. So we're gonna go Marcel.
Let's do it. Marcel P. Now it's my pick.
Pick 2.
I picked 2. I picked back to back. I'm gonna go consistency plays here. Dish Soap's coming with me. I'm taking the World Championships, and I'm also taking Cambly.
man.
So
Wow,
yeah.
love for the Citadel guys.
not this
crazy.
turn. Not this turn. It is back to
All
chat
right.
though.
Chat picks.
Robin songs. Team CTG.
Okay, I think a lot of people they're just drafting.
yeah.
This is a strategy they did last time. They just guys are just one tricks.
There we go. All right. Well, Robin Songs is on chat's team now. Back to Gangly.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to get influenced by what it means when I don't draft a player. I'm suffering PTSD from last regional finals when Frodan's chat came after me. What does it mean if I? What does it mean if I
go
don't
after everyone,
draft?
man? Don't take it personally.
All right, I'm gonna
These guys
vocalize
are
my thoughts
such
here.
sore winners. They win one fantasy draft, and all of a sudden they think they're the kings of the kingdom.
All right,
Gangly, you're up next.
I'm going to follow my heart because as much as I want Michael, there's a player who I think is due, and I think if I don't take them now, I'm not going to get them. I'm going to draft Prestivan.
Oh, I did not expect you to take Prestivan.
Vitality Squad.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's been in this like top 12, top 16 at almost every single tournament for too long. That he's due for a couple top 8s.
Okay. All right. Frodan,
All right.
back to back for you.
I need to look at Michael's ladder stats right now. He's not playing much ladder. The thing is, I just don't know Michael's form, but I think generally speaking, he's pretty good about it. I want to take regular season. Should I take the regular season king? K3 Soju, should I do it? Oh man, the thing is he's gonna tell me that I made a mistake. He'll be the first person to tell me I make a mistake. All right, I'm gonna take Michael and I'm gonna take Chudington. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I think underrated guys should be higher valued, and I'm just gonna take it. So
There you go. Love it. Gangly, back to you.
Okay. I am also tempted to take Soju here.
he is really good in the regular season. The problem is he always gasses out by regionals, but the thing is, regionals are not part of it.
Yeah.
You should just take, dude. You're just taking the vitality team. Just do it, man.
I know. I
Just
can't.
do
I
it.
can't take
Just
all
do it.
vitality. I
Chad
can't
will
take all vitality.
Chad will take Kai Wing next. So
No, you know what? I'm gonna go back to one of the.
No, the memes.
I'm going back
The
to my
memes.
roots. I'm going back to my roots. This is the player that I said was the greatest tournament player at the beginning of. I think it was set 6 is when I said this. I'm gonna take
skills.
I'm gonna take Spencer.
whoa.
Oh.
Yeah,
I like that
Spencer-
he changed his name to Academy Spencer because we definitely did not give him a pro player contract. So he's just holding it for free. I love
This
Spencer.
one might be.
Good kid.
Yeah.
Kid.
It's a Liquipedia poll for sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're back to
All right,
chat.
What does chat want next?
Oh, we're gonna get some Sojis here in chat. Darth,
Wait,
Kai
they
Wang.
gotta, they gotta take Darth and Kai Wang, right? They gotta take Kai Wang.
We have back to back.
They want Kai Wang for the meme. They just draft all Citadel.
Wait, what are we seeing?
As well.
I
this
see
is close.
I see a lot of Kai Wang. I see Darth, and I see Soju. But I think it's. I was actually fanning out a little bit more.
Do we need to run an actual poll for this one?
Well, I say give him Kai Wang.
Well, the thing is, it's a lot of people. People are saying the same thing, so it feels like it's being represented. But I think they want Darth actually, but actually, I guess Kai Wang. I see enough unique names. It's probably Kai Wang.
All right, we're gonna go Kai Wang. All right, let's do it. Chat locks in Kai Wang. I think this makes my job pretty easy here. I'm taking Darth and I'm taking Soju back to back.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is looking good. This is shaping up good for me. I like this.
Okay.
Chat,
Broken
your
draft
turn.
spot.
Your
I think
team
number
is
4
going
the broken
first
spot.
or like very dead last.
100%.
Yeah.
We're swinging for the fences this time. All right, chat. Who we got now? Brosif deal. Brosif time. I mean, this makes sense. It's top of the board.
Brosif is a good pick.
You're just taking highest value on the board.
Makes sense. It's a good safe draft here. Brosif going to team chat, which, by the way, in that first lobby that Marcel drafted in at regionals, this was the 4v4 team that versus Vitality basically.
Gangly should have went full Vitality. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
disappointed.
You're right.
Disappointed.
It's all good.
It's fine.
Gangly,
go ahead.
I'm gonna double down when I said that I actually do think this player is a beast. I was surprised in set 15 that they would stick around this long, but Bosso Skills is going straight to my team right now.
Wow.
This is an easy pickup for me.
Wow.
Okay. Easy pickup. I was actually really surprised Gang did not pick Pokegam.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I said that, it was coming out of my mouth, and then I thought to myself, "Oh shoot, I really want Pocky here." But
I'm surprised you did not take Pokegam.
No, I was too far in, and if I had stopped,
he's too far in the sauce. He got influence.
Yeah.
He got influence. All right, well, Pokegam is mine.
No,
You're stealing me?
Now,
Yes.
Now it's interesting
playing
because now it's
defense.
like a bunch of people that could do really well, and it's also people that kind of are. I actually think that this guy had a pretty solid regular season. I'm actually thinking about two guys, but I'm gonna go with me first, Wraith. I think he actually had like a pretty good regular season last set, but he did bad at regionals. And I think that was like the only thing. So because he was like, I think he was like 11th in points or 10th in points. That's not bad. So pretty good value pick here at 5. Gangly
is tough. I mean, this is a good slot to kind of place your bets on someone that you think you can get cheap that'll have a deep run, right?
Yeah.
There's a handful of very strong value picks. The question is, how many of them do you think you can pick up on your next rotation? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pick up Wigwug.
Whoa, that's a big shot in the dark. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot of the players that are remaining, there's obviously players who have had strong results, but a lot of the players also have had sets that have been like entirely marred by having weak placements over and over again. And if that's the case, I think I might take my chances with a dark horse instead.
I mean, these are all dark horses in general, for known reasons or unknown reasons.
Yep.
So I don't think it's unreasonable to take Wigwug here. It's just I'm surprised that's what you chose. That's all. Given what was said on the podcast, that's all.
Hey now.
All right, chat wants Ego Illusions. I think
it seems very clear
about it. Ego is one of the more interesting players, because this guy at one point was perceived to be the best player in Brazil, and it wasn't close. But he hasn't had results in a long time. But and I don't know why exactly. If I were to take a guess, is because he's kind of gone through some personal, like, emotional turmoil. He's been tweeting about it, actually, posting it on Twitter. But I mean, this guy at one point was the best player from Brazil, and it wasn't even close once upon a time. So we'll see. Maybe he's just been low rolling terminally, and he's overdue.
If this is set 13, I think he's gone in the first 5 or 6 picks, easily.
I mean, yeah, anything. Yes, you're correct.
Well, I'm on the board twice, and me personally, I believe in Brazil. I don't know about you guys, but Quinta, the consistency is coming with me for sure.
Okay.
And then between these two players have had really good. This is a hard choice between these two Brazilian guys, if I'm going to be straight up. I'm not sure. Shaco's got. They both have high highs. All right, I'm following the board. I'm going CMB here.
I mean, CMB is a regionals winner from set 15, so can't go wrong with that. He's the first ever Brazilian regionals winner post merge. First ever non-American North American winner. So
love it.
Okay,
all
so
right.
then chat's back on the clock, right?
It's chat. Okay.
Ready. Yeah, no, this.
They want to go
like...
ready.
Ooh.
Some NA,
Not
some
Shaco?
NA bias coming back in.
All right.
Some NA bias coming back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready it is.
Yeah, I like the ready pickup here.
I know
Ready
you
makes a
wanted
lot
him.
of sense.
Chat's just stealing him from you.
Yeah, I know. They're. I wanted Broseph when they took Broseph. I wanted ready when they got ready.
See, you had the chances to pick them, though. That's like crazy. Broseph is fourth, and you could have picked them at any point before that.
No,
You're
it
like,
was
if I
the,
really
it was
wanted,
the way
you should pick
back.
it. I see what
it
you're
was the way
selling, man.
back.
I see what you're selling.
All right, give me. I'm gonna bank on the player who is returning to the TPC. They made it there in the first place, got relegated, and they earned their spot again. Give me J or C.
This guy
That's a good pick.
might not
That's a
pick
good
a
pick.
single non-NA player. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, you're right. I see the bias.
Yeah.
I'm 2 on the clock here. I'm gonna go with 2 players that are flying under the radar for sure. The first I want to say is I want to pick Ladder Slayer. I think this guy is very good pick here. If you would actually okay, technically whoever I'm about to pick should be like the 1 slot higher, but this guy's very consistent, and I think that he actually reminds me a lot of Robin. He actually plays very flowchart standard meta TFT, but he's improving his baseline and making fewer mistakes every single set I see him. So I think he's very good value here. And then it's a toss-up between 2 players. And I think I'm going to go with a little bit of newer blood. I'm going to go with Conda. I think Conda is very impressive in the few spurts I've seen him. And I know that Shaco is more proven, but I'm kind of in like an underdog type of mode now. Like, I think that in general, the players that are good are people. I think people are just gravitating too much towards names, and I think that a lot of people don't actually know who's good. And I think that I'm gonna trust my eyes on this one. So I've been more impressed by Conda recently than some of the other people I've seen on this list. So
he has made Tac Crown before.
He's made Worlds, right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. I remember. But it's not just his results. It's just like he's definitely made some boneheaded decisions as well. It's not like he's made no mistakes. But like some of the stuff that I saw out of week 1 of regionals and also the scrims, because I was like watching a lot of scrims, was pretty impressive from last set. Sure. So I just want to just call it out that I think that he has some good eye test moments. Okay, Grangley.
Yep.
Crazy Cat is all yours, buddy.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah. No,
Crazy Cat's all yours.
He's
He's not coming back to you. That's all I'm saying. I just want to call it out because you're like, I wish I picked it.
You might be right. He might not be coming back to me. I think that now is a very good opportunity to pick up Shaco. If I look at the list of players,
Yeah.
Good value.
if you're just looking at career AVP across the players remaining on this list, I think that Shaco is in a different tier of consistency compared to the remaining players.
Okay. Definitely good value. Chat, you're back on the clock. Cringe. They're calling you cringe. You stole their pick, bro.
Yeah, man.
They're so mad.
You guys want to trade?
No, I thought they wanted Crazy Cat.
Oh, well, I mean, it looks like Crazy Cat. The votes are coming through for sure.
I think they want the wild horse.
All right.
The Crazy Cat.
The Stallion.
Crazy Cat is
man.
now on the team.
All right. So
Yeah.
then CLE, it's on you.
All right, I got 2 picks. This is going to round out my team completely. And I definitely want to take David here.
Okay.
He's somebody that's been around for a long time. He studies cross-region because he speaks French. And so is somebody that definitely has a pretty high ceiling because of that, being able to absorb information from a bunch of different places. No, I'm dead serious. The language, Clement talks about this a ton, of like the language barriers and the learning you can get by being bilingual and speaking multiple languages. Anyway, I'm definitely excited to have David on my team. And then I'm going to go off just pure momentum here and pick up the last Latin American representative. I want Josue to lead it on my team. I think I'm a believer. I'm here for it. And I definitely want some regional representation on my team. And so he's coming with me. And that leaves chat with their last pick.
All I'm going to say is I am shocked that Milk did not go 32 out of 32 last set. And the only player that went 32nd was Josue deleted. That's where I am struggling. Because it's not, again, they don't count regionals. He could pop off at regionals. He ponies up and tries for one tournament. That guy can make worlds. And that's very much true. But it was impressive to see Milk not go dead last given what happened last set. I would be super scared to take Josue just because of the regular season performance.
He can only go up from here. Only go up from here, Frodan. So, Bro who will be chat's last pick. They are rounding out the roster. Gangly, your final pick, leaving Dan with his last one.
Whoever you pick, Gangly, that was the wrong choice. You should have gone with the other one. Just letting you know ahead of time.
I was looking up players, ranked histories and things, and these two players, I think I must just not know their accounts, because the account that they played on last set, one of them has 0 games played and the other has like 9 games played. But the caveat I will give is that Millennium Fox, every set has like sub 200 games played, and yet they're like 1,000 LP, 1,100 LP, very high on the ladder with like 140 games played. So maybe this guy doesn't actually have to play the game to get good. Maybe he gets all of his TFT ability from merely watching, and he doesn't have to touch the game, and he'll show up to tournament and have the Cinderella run. So give me Millennium Fox.
That's the wrong choice.
He has the cooler username, but that is indeed the wrong choice. I'm taking Chang Li last pick, and that's actually undervalued for sure. I actually did not think I was going to get Chang Li at the last pick, so I'm very happy with that.
This is the guy that I said had, from the account I saw, like 9 games played and I think 3 top 4s. So again, it might just be the wrong account. It's pretty good. You're right. It's not the worst. I mean, it's better than Josue and Milk did at TPC last set. So it could be worse.
If he plays 9 games and top 4 3 of them to this weekend, I'll be happy with that.
Okay.
Well, just going off the Rolldown rankings, Gangly has the worst team, but we all knew that already. Chat has the second worst team, and then it's Frodan, and then it's me. But I think it was definitely my at the turn getting Darth and Soju there really bumped up my average ranking. So I'm pretty happy with my squad.
You're just name recognition only. You don't know how. None of your players are going to show up, dude.
I mean, if we were going off of viewership, your team is number one for sure. The most amount of eyeballs will be watching your team.
I'm down here in the trenches. I'm going to high school baseball games as a scout.
You have Setsuko and Preston,
a 5-tool player,
what
baby.
What are you talking about? How? That's like when the Los Angeles Dodgers are like, yeah, it's going to be an uphill climb this year. We only
you guys just can't handle it,
$1.2 billion on our roster. We're really hungry this time. We have the greatest baseball player in history playing for us on both ends of the floor, or
that's true.
Sorry,
basketball.
I mean, technically the floor. My bad.
All right. Well, when Wigwug goes 1-1-1 across 3 TPCs, you can all apologize to me then.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna look at my team and be like, "Wow, you have Wajan and Michael, and I don't even know how. I don't know anyone else on your team." I got the true underdog team. We'll do it, man.
Don't worry.
It's actually like Karasuno. It's like Haikyuu. It's like Wajan and Michael, like a duo you don't really expect, and now it's them to carry all these crows up to the number 1. We're gonna do it, man.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Chat thinks they won. I think I won. Gangly thinks he won. Frodan, do you think you won the draft or?
Absolutely. I think any true knowers know that my team was actually really good.
All right.
Really good. It might not be the best, but I think we're competitive. We're going to be top 2 at least.
I'll make sure that we get updates out every episode on who's winning, because you want to follow along with that for sure, because we'll figure out some kind of prize, but maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing in mind right now. Anyway, that is the end of our show. There is so much coming up on this competitive roadmap for the remainder of this set. We had Trials week 1 happen last weekend, and this weekend is week 2. So we get our first people locked in from Tier 2 to go to Regionals starting this weekend, alongside the Pro Circuit, the first one, and our first players going to the Tactician's Crown. So that'll be really fun to watch. Dan, are you going to be streaming all weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about this, but there is a really double-edged sword with this weekend of Tier 2 playing at the same time as Tier 1. I understand Tier 1 is the concern. It's what is going to be what is the bottom line for Riot internally. It's what moves the needle. It's what gets the headlines. It's ultimately what people care about. But I do think that we can't neglect Tier 2, because that is going to be our talent pool of what sustains Tier 1 long term. And I'm just disappointed with the way that they're being treated. There are improvements, but I just don't like that they're playing at the exact same time as Tier 1. This weekend, one of my buddies, Box, actually is trying to qualify for the regional finals. I can't watch him because I'm going to be watching TPC instead. And that's a huge disappointment for me. And I think a lot of people are probably going to echo that sentiment. We're splitting attention in the spots that we shouldn't be, I think. I understand the benefits of it, though. It's not like it's pure downside. People ask, why would they ever do this? It's because they're going to be playing on the same patches, so the competitive cadence is going to match, and they can scrim together, and there's like a lot of other things that like could be good for it. Logistically, it also makes it a lot smoother in one weekend pipeline process. But I just want to voice that I don't think that this is the solution. I personally believe they did this because of EWC.
Yeah,
because EWC is crowding the calendar. And I want to say that if EWC is going to be actively taking away, not intentionally, again, I'm not blaming like the organizers or EWC itself, but if EWC is doing this thing where it's kind of black holing, they're not monopolizing only our players' time and content, but also kind of bullying around other parts of the competitive scene, then I feel like we need to reevaluate our relationship with that as a scene, just because I feel like it's just not worth it, right? If EWC is going to like not only take away people streaming, but also sort of like dominate the calendar in this way, I think we need to figure out a way to make it better that isn't going to do that, because it's coming at the cost of other things.
It's important to note that it also is a short set in general, right? A short set not including EWC. I believe it's 13 weeks is the total length.
Yeah, that's right. This is always the shortest set of the year as well.
Yeah, so it's a mix of things kind of all coalescing at once. And so I think it's at if they wanted to test it, I think if Riot is saying, hey, we want to try and see how this feels, this is the set to test it out, right? You're already on a tighter timeline. But I would echo what Dan says. It's worth it to reevaluate at the end of the set to see how this feels, how it worked, how EWC impacted the integrity of the scene as a whole. But yeah, it is a shame that we're going to be missing direct coverage of the Tier 2 scene.
I did see chat saying this, and I just looked it up to confirm. The tournament does start at 10 a.m. PT for trials, and TPC does not start till 1.
Yeah, so, they're staggering it.
There's a little bit of stagger, but it doesn't get rid of the issue, right? Because especially on the
get rid of the issue. I can't watch EU TPC then. Either way, there's going to have to be something that I trade off. I don't know. I usually watch EU TPC, or at least part of it. So I might do all 3, but we'll see.
Either way, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot that we want to watch, and there's a lot to keep updated on. And so we'll continue to keep you guys updated. Obviously, Frodan is the hub for all of these things as he watches everything. I don't even know when this guy sleeps, but
A-hub.
My wife said to me the other day, she's like, when is Frodan not live? And I said, I don't know. This guy's
hanging out with his family. That's basically it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on and lending us your chat as well, because they think they're experts also, and they think they won this fantasy draft. And so we're thankful to have you on the show and be like the predecessor to what the show is with Don't Talk If You Don't Know. We kind of copied your homework and changed it a little bit. And
you guys are doing great.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. So anything you want to say before we sign off for this episode?
It's fun. Thanks for having me. And I will just probably accept my victory speech now. Shout out to Wade and Iverson carrying the team as always. Michael, you were super solid. But to some of the underrated picks on my squad, Pocky, me first to Wraith, Konda, even Chang Shen Lee, right? Like players that are just underestimated. You guys did really good this season. Thanks for carrying me to a dub. Oh, and Tunington, of course, very underrated player given his history. But yeah, I mean, this roster is goated, and I'm sorry that chat couldn't keep their win streak going on for 5 drafts in a row. But hey, no king reigns forever. So better luck next time, losers.
If Frodan beats us, are we getting fired, Gangly?
Yeah,
no, it's my job to beat you guys. But Chad and I kind of have this faded rivalry that needs to settle it here. Winner takes all.
Okay. All right. Winner takes all. Sounds good. Gangly, anything to say before we sign off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, obviously, I've known Dan for a while, just doing stuff in TFT, and something I love about Frodan is that whenever he does his content, he purposely does a great job of acting as like a facilitator. He asks questions that he already knows the answers to because he wants it to come from the pros. He makes sure other people get the spotlight. Even when he hosted Don't Talk If You Don't Know, if you watch those episodes, he could have carried a lot of the show by himself, but he always made sure to give space to other people. And I love that Dan gets to come on this show and just talk, because I feel like I've never heard you give so many strong opinions back to back to back to back, because you're normally, throwing it to someone else to make sure they have a turn in. So it was awesome. Thanks for coming on, Dan. You're a blast to have on. Obviously, you got to flex a lot of those skills that showcase why you were one of the best podcast hosts to begin in TFT. And yeah, man, always a pleasure talking to you. So thanks for coming on.
Man.
I'm excited to watch this weekend, and I'm just ready for competitive TFT to kickstart, man. Everyone who's feeling down on set 17, maybe it is just that I took a break and I came back, but there's magic in the air. I feel revitalized with this season. I feel like something special is going to happen.
And on that note, if you guys also are feeling burned out, take a break, because look at this gangly guy. This guy loves TFT, man.
He's glowing. Back. Yeah.
He's glowing.
It's all that rest you get with a newborn child. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it a ton. If you have not yet, please like, subscribe, share, comment on the Rolldown. We appreciate anything that you can do to support the show. You can support our sponsor, Citadel, and the link down below as well. So thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you guys next time.